Welcome to Talk Show Host with Learning Disability, brought to you by KeithAndrewNetWork. In today's episode, we have the pleasure of sitting down with the talented and rising actress, Mary Looram. Join us as we dive into her journey in the entertainment industry, discussing the challenges and triumphs she's faced along the way. You'll learn about her struggles, her inspirations, and what led her to success. Get ready to be inspired as we bring you a fresh dose of creativity and insight into the entertainment world. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more inspiring conversations and stories.
Hello, I'm Mary Looram. I'm an actor in New York City. I started at an older age, and I'm happy to say I'm still acting. I've started with commercial print and went to commercials, and now it's TV and film. And I just had a very interesting interview with Keith Andrews from the Keith Andrew Network. And I hope you will enjoy it. I think you'll learn a little bit about me and a little bit more about him. And it was truly a fun interview, and I'm very excited that I was part of it and honored that he asked me to be an interviewee.
The whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having learning disabilities, I can still know something. At the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there. Never give up and prove people wrong no matter what. Hey, show them labels do not dictate who you are going to be. KeithAndrewNetWork. Shatter your expectations. It is my destiny. Prove people wrong in this world. Find ways to shatter your expectations. Don't let disabilities define you. Don't be
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Keith Andrew, and you're watching the Keith Andrew Network. That is right, the Keith Andrew Network presents the talk show host with a learning disability. That's available on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and all social media. So make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Today we have a great guest. She's been on so many hit TV shows that we're going to talk about. So the first thing we're going to talk about is icebreakers. Tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Keith, and everyone who's watching. I'm Mary Looram, and I am a mother of 5 grown children and 9 grandchildren. I'm an actor. I have been a professional actor since 1960. Oh, excuse me, that's not right. I mean, I've been a professional actor since about 2000. I actually did a lot of acting as when I was a mother, when I was working as a teacher, but it was all community theater. And then I moved to New York in 1999. And in 2000, I started with commercial print. And then agents asked if I had ever done any acting. I said yes. And they started sending me out for commercials. And that's how I got my SAG card. And then it went on from there, thank goodness, to film and TV.
Now, the next subject I want to talk to you about is the coronavirus. How has COVID impacted your life? And do you see life in a different point of view?
Well, it was a very difficult time for all of us as people, as mothers, as caregivers, and as actors. We were basically cut off from everyone. In my case, my husband had just passed away when the pandemic started. And so I stayed with my daughter and husband and two young children because they were both working from home and they couldn't have their nanny there anymore. And so I helped out. And I guess we missed a whole year of year and a half of auditioning. And when we finally did get back to it was very different than it had been in the past. In the past, we would get an email or a call from an agent to show up at a casting office, mostly downtown New York or Midtown. And now the request was put yourself on a tape and send it to us. Well, where do you start? It's hard for an old dog to learn new tricks. But I did that. I had to do it if I wanted to stay in the business. And so I bought a ring light and learned how to use my phone inside the ring light and had fortunately someone who could come and help me with auditions. He would read with me. That was my brother who lives in the city also. And he helped me with auditions. Sometimes it was my daughter. I even did it through SAG. They had a Zoom way to audition. And we're still doing it that way, although I did have one in-person audition last week or 2 weeks ago and a callback in person, which was very exciting. Exciting because we got to see other actors and also we got some feedback from the casting director, which is what you don't get when you send in tapes. And they were able to narrow it down quickly. When you do it, send in a tape, you get no feedback. You have no idea whether you were overacting, whether it's because you didn't fit with the rest of the people they were auditioning or booking. So, but we all have to learn to do new things if we want to continue acting, and I do. And so that's what I'm doing these days.
Hey, you're never too old to learn new things.
Absolutely. Thank you. It takes a little while for somebody my age. And I find if I do it constantly, it's a lot easier. If I haven't done something in a while on the computer, it takes me a little while to do it again. But yes, and speaking of starting new things at an older age, I was actually 60 when I started acting professionally. As I said, I did a lot of community theater over the years in California, in New York, wherever my husband was stationed in the Army. And but I didn't start doing it professionally until I was 60. So and it's been a very exciting challenge for me. I've met a lot of wonderful people and now a new friend with Keith, who's doing his own thing and doing it very well. And it's exciting to work with different folks and learn something every day. I started doing background work in films so I could see what it was all about, and did that while I was still a non-union, and learned the difference between non-union and union actors. And there's really no difference in talent. It's mostly just belonging to the union that makes the big difference. And it's a little expensive to get into the union these days. But I'm grateful that I'm in the union, and it's done a lot for me.
Absolutely. Now, there's a couple questions I do want to talk about, but the first thing I want to say, I send my condolences to your husband passing away, and
Oh, thank you.
I want to say thank you for his service.
Thank you. I think the people who are in the military do deserve our thanks. And so do the families, because we're the ones left behind a lot of times, as I was for 2 years when he was in Vietnam and had small children at the time. And but it taught me a lot. It made me a very strong woman, and for that I am grateful.
Absolutely. Throwing it out there. Do you want to talk about politics or no politics?
Sure. I'll talk about politics.
Well, this
Um,
is your time. You can say yes or no, or then you can ask me anything you want. It's a normal conversation.
well, talking politics is fine. I have no problem with that. And the other thing, I'm interested in you telling me how you got started doing these interviews.
Well, going back to it, actually, that I can answer that as we go into our next subject. The next subject we're going to talk about is breaking the glass ceiling. Because you started acting at a later age, and you mentioned when
Yes.
you haven't done something as a late or never done it before, it's really hard to get started. So for me, I'm not 60, I'm only 37. But what was hard for me was I started this later in my life. I was 26 when I first kicked myself in the ass and said, I call it the boomerang. You would throw and say, I don't have to do this, I don't have to do that. I have a learning disability. People will feel sorry for me. And as the boomerang comes back and it whacks you upside the head, you just labeled yourself as an influent, saying you expect people to do things for you. But that's not how things are done in the real
Right.
world or reality. Because I fall under the spectrum of being, and I'm not thrown out there, being retarded. Because when you mention you had your friend come over, or your brother, to do the readings with you. For me, you have to break it down. You have to explain it because I learn at a slower pace. That's why I fall under the spectrum of the R word. No, I'm not really the R word, but I fall under the spectrum. So I'm like, okay, well, people like to say to me, you can't read, you can't write, you're not qualified, you never went to college, and you can't really do anything. So I said, screw it. I'm going to show you with a learning disability, look at what I can accomplish. And today's my anniversary. For 12 and a half years, I have interviewed over 1,200 people, showing you that labels don't dictate who you are and who you're going to be.
Absolutely, Keith. Absolutely. And I hope that message can get out to a lot more people. I think putting labels on folks, whether it's a learning disability, the color of your skin, your age, your religion, your hair, it's terrible how we put labels on people and don't give them a chance to show us who they are. And you obviously have become a very good interviewer. I've watched a lot of your tapes. You make people feel very comfortable, and you explain that yes, I have a learning disability. Okay. Yeah, yes, I'm old. Okay, we can both do what we need to do if we put our minds to it. And that's exactly what you've done. And that's exactly what I've done. And I don't plan to stop, as I don't think you do, until until I can't do it anymore for whatever reasons.
I
But
thought you were
but I'm
going.
not.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to interrupt. I thought you were going to say my thing is until the day I die. And when people are like, "Oh, you're
Yeah.
so morbid," it's like, well, it's the truth, though.
Well, it's funny. I was going to say that, but I didn't say it. But it's true. It's just like I tell my kids I'm not going to leave where I am right now until they take me out in a box, right? So same difference. Um, But yeah, I mean, the funny thing is with age, I think a lot of young people don't know what a 70-year-old looks like, or an 80-year-old, or a 40 or a 50-year-old. I mean, they have some picture in their mind of what that age looks like, and it's not necessarily reality. Uh,
It's
so,
true.
I mean, when I audition, mostly I do audition for 70, starting 70, but I'm well past 70. So, but uh, anyway, yeah. So I think you're doing a great job, and as I said, I think you're a wonderful role model to others, um, to do what you're doing, and I hope it gets out there to more people.
Likewise, and I would love to work with you more. But my biggest thing is you don't have to have a disability to be on the show. By being on the show, you're supporting a host, and I'm not doing the Russian salute or anything. I'm not Elon Musk. I might have putting my hand on my heart because I'm talking from the heart. So I just want to clarify. It's like, why does he keep touching his heart? So that's what I mean.
No,
But
I understood that. I understood that when you put it there the first time.
no, absolutely. But the biggest thing is people are like, and I get this a lot. Oh, you say you interview people with disabilities, you share their stories. Why you want to interview me? I don't have a disability. Well, by saying that, you sound like an asshole. By you being on, like I said, freedom of speech, by you taking the time to be on my show, you're supporting a talk show host with a disability. Now, that's as far as it goes because the half hour is about you, talk about everything you accomplished, and it's a win-win. By helping me, I'm helping you, and you're making a new friend out of it. Just the fact people like to do the whole stupid stereotype of, whoa, I don't have a disability, and I find it, kind of hypocritical. You say you're a talk show host as a disability, but you don't interview disabled people. It's like, who even talks like that? It's kind of like, you know what I mean? Anyway, you can't fix
I
stupid, but you
do.
can numb it with a 2x4.
That's true.
But the next thing I want to talk about is, are you a professional wrestling fan?
Absolutely no. I can tell you that for sure.
What
I don't think I've ever watched I've never watched one on TV. I have to admit one of my boys did some wrestling in high school, so I did go to at least one wrestling match and when he was in high school, but I think maybe only one.
my grandfather, he used to like to antagonize us when we used to watch the WWF. See, like they're not even touching each other. They're not really hitting. We used to call him Popper. Shut up, Popper. You don't know what you're talking about. See, look at this. Look at. Stop it. Get him, Mom. Get him out of here.
Are you a WWF fan?
Yes.
You
Since
are.
the age
Okay.
of 4.
Oh, hence the ring that you're in right now.
Oh, I like to be the center of the spotlight.
Okay.
But the reason I bring it up is tonight available on Peacock and the CW. You get to watch WWE NXT. What's nice about NXT is, well, when it first started, it's these upcoming rookies who are like 22, 21. They're nobodies. They used to have a performance center back in the 90s. So the performance center is like you go to, I don't know, Gold's Gym, or you go to the gym, you work out, and if the agents like you, they say, hey, well, how about you do a match? So later on, about 2010, 2013, and you're like, how about, but the performance center is like, oh, this person has a good look, let's give them a match. And someone came up with the idea of saying, and we always talk about the next generation because there will be a next John Cena in the next 10, 20 years, to be the next Undertaker. So why not create a new show about young people getting their opportunities and seeing how they react to the fans and how the fans react to them. So that's what NXT is, a bunch of unknown people becoming household names.
Oh, okay. Kind of like The Voice or America's Got Talent or those kinds of shows, but this is for wrestling.
Right, absolutely.
Good.
So the
Okay.
next one, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that I think that's very clever on everybody's part. As you said, it gives newcomers an opportunity, and that's how they get fans. And I suppose the more fans you get, the higher up you go in the wrestling world. If you have a lot of
Absolutely.
followers, yeah.
Well, they don't like, well, there's a different story about that. They don't like you to become famous on your own. If you're in the company, they like to control you. So there's a wrestler outside, Zack Ryder. He became really big, popular as the fans. WWE didn't like that, so they try to hold him down. Because if you work for a company, it's the company's job to promote you and get you over as the fans. If you're going out and doing things on your own, it's kind of like, then what are you doing here? If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, but the next one I wanted to talk to you about, you were on Orange is the New Black, and I actually interviewed a lot of people from Orange is the New Black. What was that experience like?
Oh my goodness, that was an amazing experience because I was in the pilot. When I first booked the job, I remember the agent saying this was a TV, and I said, "Oh, what channel is it going to be on?" And she said, "Well, it's not a channel. It's something new called Netflix." Well, there was only one other program on Netflix, and some people didn't even know about that one. And it was oh my goodness, now I won't be able to remember the name of it. Um, it was oh,
Don't
it
worry,
was
I
with
have that. I have that
Kevin
effect on people.
Spacey. Yeah, Kevin Spacey was in the first
Oh,
one.
the
Anyway,
blacklist.
what was it?
Oh, blacklist.
No, no. It was the first program on Netflix. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Orange is the New Black was the second big program on Netflix. And it did a lot for a lot of women, women of color, young women who were just starting out in the acting business. It did a lot for Netflix because it was so popular. And for me, it opened a lot of doors because once my resume had Orange is the New Black on it, more casting directors were interested in me. But when we did the first pilot, and it was Taylor Schilling and the rest of the cast, and we were all talking about what is this Netflix? I wonder what's going to happen. Wonder if they'll continue it, if it'll be picked up, et cetera, et cetera. And about let's see, I don't remember the year it started, but a few years later, I was at a women's march in New York City, and that was in 2020. Someone new had just been elected president, and there were a lot of people that weren't too happy about that. And so there was a women's march in New York City, and I was with my son-in-law and my grandbaby, and I saw Taylor Schilling, but I couldn't remember her real name. I remembered she was Piper, and I was her grandmother in the show. And so I yelled out, "Piper, Piper, it's your grandmother." And she turned around and came and gave me a big hug. And we talked about the fact that, wow, did we ever have any inkling how large Orange is the New Black would become, how many seasons they would have, how many people's careers just blossomed from that show. It was a wonderful opportunity for a lot of folks. Yeah, and it was great for me. I was only in 3 episodes. The second one was uh, it went back when I was younger with Piper as a child. And the third one, I was in a coffin. and and that was a fun experience because it was not very comfortable. And as the director said, well, nobody ever complains in there. and and there was a British director, a woman director, and every so often they would have to change the lights or change something. So they would have a little step stool for me to get in and out of the coffin. And at one point, it was only going to be a short break. And I said, oh, I will just sit up here in the coffin. And so somebody took a picture of me sitting up in the coffin, which is pretty darn funny. so so that was a fun time. And yeah, I'm very, very grateful I was able to book that part as the grandmother.
And the next one I want to talk to you about, the next two shows, was one was on NBC and the other one was on Showtime. You were on the Blacklist and then you were on Billions. What was the
Yes.
experience like?
Blacklist was local right here in down at Chelsea Piers, the same studios they use for Law and Order. And we were supposed to be in a veterans hall playing bingo. And it's just wonderful to see how the people who work behind the scenes do what they do. This was a great set. It looked exactly like a VFW hall if you've ever been to one. And there were a lot of background people. And Kevin, not Kevin, now I'm confusing names. The the lead actor of Blacklist. Tell
Oh,
me his name.
oh, Ken Spacey. No, like
Of,
I think it's
of Black.
Ken. I can see him, but I can't really think of
I
his name.
can too. Oh, Spader, James Spader, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. James Spader was very nice. And the woman who was the big star besides James Spader, her name is Mary Elizabeth, I believe. She's an actor more in my age, and she was very pleasant, and everybody made me feel very comfortable. We were still at the very end of the pandemic, and so we wore masks. Oh, we tested many times. I only worked one day, but we tested when we went for fittings um, and while we were there the first day, I guess I did 2 days maybe. And but when we were waiting before they actually filmed us, we had the clear plastic things on us. And as soon as they were ready to shoot, a PA would come and take that off. And so, that was still, as I said, right at the tail end of the pandemic, and everybody was being very, very cautious, which was a good thing. So that was a great experience for me. And as far as Billions went, that we filmed out in Queens, Mid Village, I think it was. And unfortunately, I didn't get to work with any of the big stars, the actors, because my piece was I was telling a story about how, as a retired teacher, my pension had gone into for a city, and the people who were managing it, who were the big shots from Billions, were not managing my money, and I was worried that I was not going to have a pension. So they showed me without doing what I was doing, my grocery shopping, sitting at the park, feeding the ducks, and then my voice went over it. And then they showed the star watching the commercial that they were seeing, which was me telling about my problems. So I never got to see any of the big stars, didn't work with them personally.
And the last two I want to talk about real fast. I do have a couple other questions I would love to talk to you about. But the next one is you were on Jessica Jones, and you were in, I think this is a TV show or a movie. It looks like a movie, Here and Now.
Oh, Here and Now was with Sarah Jessica Parker. And I had one scene speaking with her. Also, that was in New York City around 42nd Street. We were overlooking the East River. And the storyline is that she's dying from she knows she's going to die from a brain tumor, I believe it was. And so she's going through life, meeting people, seeing people. She meets me and realizes that she's never going to grow as old as I am. And I'm telling her a story about how I saw a whale in the East River. Um, Sarah Jessica Parker is a lovely, lovely lady. Um, she's just as sweet as can be. And I remember it was a bit chilly, and they had a car for her, and she would take me in the car with her, so I didn't have to be standing out in the wind. Um, and the other person, the other actor that I worked closely with, that again is a wonderful actor and a lovely person, is Kristen Bell. I was in a movie, Like Father, which is on Netflix still today. And it was with Kristen Bell, and Seth Rogen was in it because his wife directed it, and Kelsey Grammer. And that was great fun because we shot it on a cruise, a real cruise ship with paying customers who were on the ship. And that was a lot of fun. Although one thing you learn as an actor is you can have a lot of lines and shoot a lot of work, and then when you see the final product, you find out that most of your lines have been cut. They're on the cutting floor, as they say. And it turned out I just had a very few lines in the actual film, but a lot of camera time. So a lot of people did see me and can still see me on Netflix with Like Father.
And we're going to go overtime. We have 2 minutes left. What can you tell us about Jessica Jones and that experience?
Jessica Jones, that was, I think, the very first season. And again, I had a great part. I was supposed to be a woman who had been a smoker all her life. And so I spoke with this raspy voice that I practiced quite a lot when I auditioned for it, and wound up booking it. Unfortunately, it was cut. So I am in the movie, but it just shows me with my oxygen tank and my walker, but none of my lines. But it was still a good experience. That's the fun thing. Even if you are cut from something, you still went through the experience and you learned something. You learned about a particular director, a particular star, because you were there and experienced it. So it's never a loss, even if your lines are cut.
That's true. Now, we will definitely do a part two because I want to do a special episode with you on how did you get an agent and what were the steps that you had to take. We can definitely do a part two if you're interested.
Sure.
But wrapping up, I want you to be brutally honest. When I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, what made you say yes, and how do you feel now?
I'm always looking for something new, Keith. I just thought it would be a good experience. And as I said, I watched a couple of your interviews and I liked what I saw. And I thought it would be kind of fun to be one of your guests. Made me feel good that you were interested in me. And I'm happy I did it. And I'm happy to do a second one with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have a couple questions for you off the air. But our goal is to reach 500 and more views. This will be shared on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. If you're watching, please leave a comment. I would like to interact with you. Our guests would like to interact with you. While wrapping up the interview, it was a real honor and a privilege to have you as a guest. Like I said, by being on the show, you're supporting a talk show host with a disability, and you're making a new friend out there. So that being said, thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a comment, and until we meet again, I catch you later. Thank you, and have a good night.
Don't be